Welcome everybody to a rather informal meeting that we have twice weekly during this COVID period. We try to meet on Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30 to discuss any new events related to the pandemic and take care of a little business that needs to be done in a little bit more of a timely fashion. So having said that, I'm going to typically start the meeting with Chief Viveros because he is usually the most well-informed.
Just a couple of things. The horse shows are going to resume again next week. Yeah. Sounds like they've talked to their safety coordinator. It sounds like they're taking some added steps in that now they're actually going to be reviewing travel documents from anyone who's out of state. And, if there's any question, they're going to have them sign a statement stating that they've, complied with the 14-day advisory if they're from out of state. So that they're working on that. The schools, Charlie, I spoke to Kane about the parking situation and we took down some trees about 2 years ago or a year ago. They still need to have those stumps grinded down, and they'd like to get that area paved. So I know Kane was going to send an email to Charlie.
Yeah, nothing yet.
He hasn't sent it yet. So we weren't sure if that would be able to be funded out of the CARES Act, or what part Steve and his guys could help with that. But Kane was going to send an official request over to Charlie to see if we could get that approved.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. There's that flower lot or construction right between two. How are you going to get 3 lanes in there with that sitting there?
I think that if you're facing the school, they're to the right of that.
It's in the middle.
So there are 2 lanes there going in towards the tennis courts. And as he mentioned, there's a flowering area. They put up some boxes and such for flowers and such. So he's asking what's going to happen with those.
I don't know what's going to happen with those. I think the area they're talking about having paved and the stumps taken out is far to the right of that. If you're facing the school, I think it's to the right.
We're just talking about a driveway type thing, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about a parking lot.
Just so they can, the goal, initially the goal was to try to fit 3 lanes of cars in there.
Right.
So I can say from a parent experience, there's 2 lanes that pull in, but the head custodian was making the 3rd lane up to the point where everybody had to turn, and then you were down to 1 lane. So I know the idea was to try to make it so you could get 2 lanes to turn there, so you could ask the staff to park elsewhere so that the cars could come all the way up on both sides to add more space.
Yeah, because the bottom line is no matter how many lanes we had, it all
Bottlenecks into one.
The idea was basically, the thrust was to get them off of 106.
Right, exactly. So if you have to stage and let 1 lane go at a time,
Right.
I'm not sure that it would be safe to have 2 lanes with kids going between.
Yeah, they'd have to be crossing in front of another.
Right, so you pretty much have to pull in, lane 1 goes first, lane 2, and then lane 3. But I'll touch base with him again on that, Charlie, because he seemed like he was anxious to get that sent over to you. The other thing, spoke with Matt Durkee, and did he send over his request?
For these faucets,
Faucets and lights.
I have to check. I don't think so. I know that Scott had, but I don't think I've got it. Matt, I think, is trying to wallpaper with 1 hand right now.
Yeah.
Because I even was calling him about a non-priority, but it's a priority to me because I have to get a decision on something totally different. And I think he's just way behind.
Gotcha.
Not his fault, he's just overwhelmed.
He wants to put touchless faucets and lighting in the bathrooms at the elementary school. I know he went ahead and placed the order for him because according to his distributor, there was only 130 faucets in all of New England, so he just went ahead and placed the order. But I told him that the proper channel would be to get the quote, send the quote along with the request over to Charlie. We'll make sure that it gets approved through the CARES Act, and then the selectmen can approve the expense. So I know Matt was working on that. The last thing I had was the travel policy, but I don't know if Charlie want to wait on that.
No, you can bring it up, or I can bring it up as more general rather than a department-specific question, if that's
Okay.
more comfortable.
That's fine. Local 3159, the firefighters union had 2 questions on the travel policy. The first was that they were hoping, their attorney wanted it to be a little more, less specific, as they wanted it to say basically, where the employee only has to report that they were not in, that they went out of,
So they went out of the 8 states, the New England states.
but
and the
not,
country.
that they don't have to disclose their exact travel.
Right, and I don't think the policy from the board said that they had to specify which state or locality they traveled to. I think, and then I think it's fine if the board decides, we'll just reemphasize that and say, all we need to know is that whether you're going to be going to a state other than the 8 states that are in that are in the low-risk category. So if you're going to Alabama or Alaska, it doesn't matter to us, but if you are going out of the 8 states, you need to tell your supervisor, department head, so that department head or supervisor gets some heads up that when you get back, you're going to be out for 2 weeks. And you need to take whatever actions for scheduling, closing offices, who knows what, but whatever they have to do, you get a heads up. And in that sense, it's really very little different from telling your department head you're going to be on vacation. I mean, I think most departments work it so that an employee has to give some sort of notice to the department head that, yeah, I'm going on vacation. They don't tell them 2 weeks later, oh, I was on vacation.
Well, yeah, I think both my unions had the same issue because they read the paragraph as requesting very detailed information, on departure times, destinations, and they felt that wasn't proper. So they had no problem with letting, myself know I'm going to be out of the 8 states, and we left it at that. That was one of their issues they had.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah.
So, as the states change,
Yeah.
It says that is in the policy now.
That's in it.
does the board have to send out the update that
No.
those states changed?
I mean, it would be good.
should.
It would be a good practice to do that. Legally, no, because it's a state order. And what we say are we're following the state's order. But as a practice, it makes a lot of sense to do that.
Okay.
Well, it is a little intrusive because, unless I'm going to go with you, I don't really need to know all the information.
I'm going to an island. We're still in the States, so I'm good. It's going to feel like it's far away, but it's
So
still in the state.
you're going to an island just to
Yes.
get away from it all?
White Island isn't really an island anymore.
There was 2 other minor questions. One was, the way it's worded is they have to report to the department head and to Charlie. They were wondering if they could just report to the department head and have a separate, I guess, policy where the department head to report to Charlie.
Fine.
Yeah, I don't see that's worth
It's
arguing.
really minor stuff.
Yeah.
And then the third was if we could just list that it's that the policy ends when the governor's order ends.
Again, makes sense.
Yeah, but also I'm going to say it will change if the governor's orders change.
Sure. That's all I have.
You want to rework the policy and then we'll,
Well, I think informally, the 3 of you can tell me right now that those changes are good. I'll incorporate them and get them out sooner
I
rather
don't
than
have any
later.
problem with any of the changes because I think it's reasonable.
yeah, that makes sense.
I guess I would just add, they should report to Charlie if the supervisor isn't available. Like if you guys are on vacation,
Well, somebody's supervising.
right?
Somebody's the asking department.
Yeah.
So it's the department head or the department head's designee.
Designated,
okay.
yeah. You want to make a motion, somebody? Yes?
So moved. Second?
All those in favor?
All right.
That's all I have.
That's it? Bob, you got anything?
COVID cases are still big in town, so that's a breath of fresh air. But AAE really heated up big time in Carver. And they did limit activities after dusk and before dawn. So we're not at that point in the year, but if at some point we have to pull the trigger on that, you know, we definitely do it in a quick manner, you know, so.
Is that a Board of Selectmen decision?
Well,
or
Board of Health.
Yeah, I can do it to the Board of Health, but I just like to bring on board
Yeah.
with it.
Okay.
So that you know as well as.
Yeah.
us as the town.
Yeah.
And that's all that I had. I was gonna bring up the horseshoe travel box, but thanks.
Oh, sorry about 31. Right, jump on it for April.
No, that's great.
Chief Shaws?
On COVID related, nothing other than, the chief already mentioned the policy, that was the one thing, other than that.
The only other thing I think we have that we could possibly discuss is how the ACO
Yeah,
interviews are going.
What Pam gave each of you, just for privacy reasons,
Yeah.
is the list of names with a number, because right now we're still basically in the preliminary screening. If we're going to, you know, when we do interviews, they'll be in public and such, but for right now, not to release the people's names until we know that they're coming in for an interview. So if you're recommending or not recommending that person 1 or person 5 be interviewed, just give the number and we'll take it from there. Sure.
Does typically, when the ACO comes up, does the police chief give his recommendations for the top 3 and then we interview the top 3?
No.
No?
Usually it's just been through all the board of selectmen. I wanted John to be on it to give his recommendations to the board, but the board, if it wanted, you know, if John said 2, 5, and 6, and the board said, okay, we'll interview those, but we want to interview number 4, then it would be the board's prerogative to do so.
Okay.
We have 7 applicants, is that right?
7.
And the applications are now closed, right?
Yes.
If we're not prepared to offer any particular advice today, we could do it on Thursday and suggest who you might like to see interviewed.
I didn't see my application.
Be a conflict of interest,
Well, I
sorry.
was going to vote for you, but,
I can give you my form if you'd like.
yeah, sure. That would be extremely helpful.
And I wasn't sure if you wanted 3 or 4. I just got.
Well, I think whoever you think, I mean, at least 3, but if 4 people you think are qualified and deserving of an interview, then, you know.
Yeah, that's what I would
Yeah.
have said, a minimum of 3.
So 1, 3, 4, and 7. 1, 3, 4, 7. And obviously, we'll have some discussion on them later Thursday.
Yeah, we can talk about it Thursday, and then we can set up.
Okay. I'll make sure it gets on the agenda for Thursday.
Okay. Would we typically want to do the interviews at our regularly Tuesday meeting?
Well, we would normally do it, but we've already gotten several appointments, so either you could start the meeting early on Thursday, I'm sorry, next Tuesday would be the easiest, rather than having another night. If the board's up for, let's say, starting at 6:30, if we did 4 interviews, we do them every 15 minutes, 6:30, 6:45, 7, 7:15, regular meeting at 7:30.
Ideally, I'd like to do it during one of these meetings, but it would be impractical to think that people could make these meetings for interviews, so I think that.
Do you want that as an option?
Yeah.
If they could do a
If they
daytime
could do it in the
interview?
daytime, we could.
Well, we could, I mean, if you're thinking about Tuesday night, then the logical thing would be to look at Monday afternoon, the
Right.
10th
Yeah.
also.
Oh, it's my birthday, I don't know if I can do it. I
The
don't
10th.
care.
I don't know if I have to be there like the 10th. I'm not.
You're going to be on that island.
No, I want to be
Or in quarantine?
I want to be with my daughter.
Are you available the 11th?
Oh, yeah, I don't go on vacation till the end of the month. The last week of August.
So would we offer Tuesday and Thursday interviews?
We could, I think Charlie was trying to get them close enough together so that,
Just to move the process along. I mean, we've been without an ACO for a month now.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they couldn't do that Tuesday if we offered them Thursday too.
yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Well, let me start off with Tuesday. If
Okay.
there's somebody who cannot make it on Tuesday but can make it on Thursday, but it would be, what, the 13th, then we'll do that.
Does anybody have anybody else that they'd want to add to this list, or are you good with this list? If we're going to start notifying people, we should know that we've settled on these 4 applicants.
Chuck, I have a question for you. On these applications, obviously, there's no place for date of birth.
Used to be.
Well, there isn't, so I
Okay.
can't even like do a preliminary
Background check.
license check off or anything for it, if they're licensed to
Right.
be in Massachusetts or So, once I get it, maybe, get a
Yeah,
number,
okay.
then reach out to them and get their date
Yeah.
of birth, and then just do a quick preliminary background, make sure they're not
Yeah.
felons or anything.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and have we discussed what, I didn't read the job description again, it's been a while. We've got the hours what we'd expect them to be, or...
It's
they're-
right now 18 hours. The chief is asking the finance committee
There's some
for,
floating hours in there, right?
yeah, well, it's all floating.
Okay.
As far as, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 18 floating hours. The chief has asked for additional funding for additional hours, starting for the year we're in, but obviously we haven't gone into town meeting yet, so.
Okay. Okay, I guess I was just trying to ask how structured it was, that's all.
Yeah, that's what I think, I'd like to, with a new person, it's kind of like structured, schedule a little bit easier, so I know when they're supposed to be here, obviously leaving some leeway.
Because you're gonna have on-call stuff, so there's an
Exactly, yeah,
attack.
it's important, and it could be adjusted on the week, but, you know, whether it's 2 days a week or 3 days a week, but have some, you know, I just don't want to have somebody,
Popping in and out as they please.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree, that's kind of where I was going. Okay. I'm good with these 4, I don't know if anybody wants to add another. Are we good with
No,
that?
we hit 2 of the ones that I was thinking about.
sorry.
We hit two candidates that I was thinking about.
Oh,
Yeah, there's 2 that I had in mind myself, so I think it covered it.
I'm fine with the recommendation.
That'll help the process a little bit here.
So Pam, and if the board approves, I'll have Pam and myself start contacting these people, start setting up
Yeah.
for Tuesday and or Thursday.
Yeah, sounds good.
I have a question while we're on ACO.
Sure.
Seeing that we don't have one right now, should we look at a policy where we have an alternate or a...
Well, in fact, the police officer's under contract.
Right.
When
Okay.
they contract,
That basically covering now, right?
yeah, the backup ACO.
I mean, we've had assistant ACOs before, but that position's not a paid, it's completely volunteer position.
Okay.
It's a little like the police or deputy health inspectors, health agents. And I'm sure they love it.
Different times.
Okay.
Do we have anything else, Joe?
I don't,
Anybody else with anything?
And any other changes on the policy, Charlie?
Just the 3 that
On
we
the
talked
work
about.
leave,
The travel
just that? Yeah,
no one's contacted me.
okay.
Move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. Thank you, gentlemen. See you Thursday.